turn it over to one of the longtime proponents and chief protectors of the Public Transportation Council in its farm reform, my Senate ranking member, Senator Hwang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I can count the entire legislative body, and a truly bipartisan basis when that occurred to protect and ensure that our commuters are protected and their voices are heard, as so many of your board members have done. So I'm excited about the newly revamped council that will not only include rail commuters, but bus transit and all other aspects of commuter transit. So again, this has true bipartisan support, and ultimately it is a voice that you give to the commuters, to the legislative body. So this is a get together that's long overdue beyond the Zoom world that we used to live in. So it's great to see all of you, and thank you for your volunteer services on behalf of commuters in the state of Connecticut. I want to thank the leadership of this committee as well for recognizing that voice and giving them that through our legislative process. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Hwang, followed by Representative Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's important. I do agree that this legislative body supports the restoration of Shoreline East. I think we were all disappointed and befuddled by this. But I would also add furthermore that every one of our transit lines deserves to be supported. I struggle with the challenge that New Canaan is getting this while Shoreline East is not, because we're defeating the ultimate purpose of supporting mass transit, and that is to get cars off the road, reduce congestion, reduce air pollution, and to create a world-class mass transit system that can be relied upon, can be depended on to get people to and from, that is a quality of life, but also an economic vitality issue. So for me, I struggle with this whole process in regards that we devastated Shoreline East. We cut the schedule for Metro North and raise fares while other lines have been allocated funds. The picking winners and losers defeats the ultimate purpose of mass transit as a whole. And I know there was a concern and conversation in regards to budgetary concerns. We've heard that there was COVID impacted scheduling and utilization changes, but does not get away. All of that rationale is short term to our goal in supporting mass transit for all the reasons I cited earlier. So I would offer that we're going to do our darndest to revitalize Shoreline East. We want to engage the communications and the mission to supporting mass transit to get cars off the road and reduce climate change, air pollution concerns. And I hope that we're united in that in every aspect of the lines. I think the second part is, even though Zell cited that, rail is very different than bus transit, but it's still getting people to and from. And it's critical, and that was part of the mission of combining all of you. But, Douglas mentioned a very important point, the last mile. I think I don't know what you vision your role in regards to the commuter rail council, the commuter council, to look at the last mile. And I think one of the things is to look at master plans in regards to roadways for people to be able to get off the train, get off their buses, and still have a safe venue or a safe pathway or a safe plan to be able to get to that final mile. So I don't know if that's part of the purview of what you have as a rail. I was appreciative of what was mentioned earlier in addressing that last mile, half mile. And I know for us as a committee, we thought about that as well. But I think the last thing I want to leave on this is the fact that communications and respect for the role that you have. I think one of the important things that from the onset, when we debated this issue in regards to your role in representing commuters and now transit-oriented aspect, is you have a voice representing the people who use these services. And one of the important elements that we retained was your ability to ask governmental bodies for information. That role and that authority still exist within the construct of the new council that we did. So I hope that you are able to remind the bodies that when you request this information, that they have a responsibility to provide that for you to best service the constituency that you're representing, that you are an authorized body that has that authority to be respected and to show that kind of accountability to information. I know for us as a legislative committee, when we request information, we're fortunate enough to get it. I can't imagine the frustration that you have in wanting to look at schedule times, arrival times, to be able to better understanding of efficiencies that you don't get that information. And it's a year. It's a year. So I don't understand it unless something has changed in regards to the authority that has been authorized to you. You're not being heard and your mandate is not being fulfilled. So I wanted to just simply raise that unless the rules have changed, you have that authority. We have not taken that away. So on a final note, I think as we have been lucky enough to have the equipment and the technology with Zoom and other members to be able to participate and get this important information, could any of the members provide when was talked about Zoom technology to afford many of your all of your volunteer members that have full-time jobs to be able to actively participate and fully engage in your meetings? What would that cost? What would that cost from a standpoint of $20,000, $30,000, 50 to be able to make a grant request? I ask that of you to be able, I know it's critical, but unless we know what you need, it's just a number out there. So thank you for allowing me these questions, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And Senator Wang, I think definitely think New Canaan should be at 100%. I didn't mean to imply that I didn't think they should be.
Excellent. And I'll just reiterate, I think it's important for us to have a context for what the budget